Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new box office breakdown show here on Max Talks Movies. We're talking about the weekend of September 17th to September 19th. A couple new releases that we're going to talk about: Cry Macho and the Eyes of Tommy Faye. We're also going to look at the top 5 movies of the domestic box office this past weekend. We're also going to look at the overall domestic box office of the entire year and the worldwide box office. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, ring the bell. I do this show every single Monday. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers, trying to build this audience. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. I'll do movie reviews, TV show reviews, more and more. A lot of these movies I'll be talking about today, I've already done reviews of. At the end of the video, you'll see a playlist to the right of my head. You can click on that to watch my other reviews from this year. Also, please comment down below, let me know what movies did you see in theaters this weekend. And also, please like the video, the thumbs up. That's the best way to support this channel. Let's talk box office. So in first place this weekend, not shockingly for the third consecutive weekend, is Shang Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. Gets $21.6 million. It's a 38% drop in its second weekend. Its domestic total now is $176.8 million in its third weekend. So Shang-Chi holding up really good. It really will be the last movie, maybe in a long time, that one big blockbuster has a whole month to itself where no major movies are competing against it. And that's what Shang-Chi is doing at the moment. Last week, Malignant challenged it. Malignant barely made $5 million last weekend. We'll talk about the 2 movies that came out this weekend. But again, next week is Dear Evan Hansen. So no major releases to go up against Shang-Chi until October 1st with Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So Shang-Chi looks like it will be passing Black Widow very soon. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. In second place, I just can't believe it's still in our top 5, and that is Free Guy. In its 6th weekend in theaters, it only drops 9% this weekend, making $5 million. It takes its domestic total to $108 million. So Free Guy continues to be at the top of the box office, but there's only one more weekend because this upcoming weekend will be the last weekend that Free Guy will be in theaters. Then it will go to PVOD. We have to buy the film, then rent the film, and then we'll see if it does end up landing on Disney Plus. We shall see. They have not released when they would do that for Free Guy yet, but this, because of the 45-day window, this will be the last weekend for Free Guy in theaters. But really a overall successful run, and it looks like it probably will be in the top 5 in all 7 weekends, which is truly a feat that we didn't see coming. Coming in third place this weekend is the only new release that made the top 5 this weekend, and that is Cry Macho, which is also on HBO Max this past weekend. It made $4.42 million at the box office in its opening weekend. Again, no one was really talking about this movie. The fact it's also on HBO Max. So Cry Macho coming in third place. Coming in fourth place is Candyman. Candyman still in the top 5, making $3.5 million, which is a 26% drop from last weekend. Candyman currently in its 4th weekend in theaters with 53.1 domestically. So Candyman also continuing to stay in the top 5. The question is, how much longer can Candyman sustain itself in the top 5? A really good job for Nia DaCosta in the Monkey Paw Productions. And in 5th place this weekend is Malignant, which is number 5 of the box office. It made $2.7 million, but because of how low it was in its opening weekend, that is a 50% drop in its second weekend. In its second weekend, it now takes its domestic total to $9.8 million. So really not good at the box office for Malignant. Again, wasn't made for a lot. It really does depend on if Malignant does well on HBO Max, if this movie is deemed a success, but really at the box office, definitely the worst box office production, worst box office money-wise for James Wan's entire career, and that is by a lot. So again, I see like this film is also again on HBO Max. So out of the 5 movies this past weekend, 3 of them are theaters exclusive, and 2 of them are HBO Max simultaneous releases. As I said earlier, the other release this weekend was The Eyes of Tommy Faye, which is an Oscar push. That movie only made $652,000 this weekend at number 10. So that Oscar hope, it does release worldwide starting. It was a limited release this past weekend, and it'll release across the country starting Friday. We'll see if this movie picks up any traction. We'll also talk about next weekend's movie in a little bit. So let's look at the domestic box office as a whole. Black Widow is still in first place with $184 million, but Shang-Chi will be in its last week at number 2 with $176 million. It is $7 million behind Black Widow. And because no major releases once again are coming out this weekend, Shang-Chi should be able to beat Black Widow at the domestic box office, which is a big win for Marvel. Of course, their top two movies of the year domestically are MCU films. Obviously bodes well, as earlier this week, Disney did announce that all their movies will be theaters exclusive for the rest of the year, which includes their next MCU movie, The Eternals, which comes out in early November, which is closing out like a month and a half away. So we're very close to that release of Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home coming out in December, and also Venom Let There Be Carnage coming out in 2 weeks. So really, really exciting stuff here. But Shang-Chi is at 176, F9's at 160, A Quiet Place is at 112. F9's at 172, A Quiet Place is at 160, Jungle Cruise is at 112, Free Guy at 108, and Godzilla versus Kong's at 100. So once again, 7 movies are at the $100 million benchmark. The big things to look for in the domestic box office next week: can Shang-Chi, how much more will be ahead of Black Widow? And Free Guy is only $4 million shy of Jungle Cruise at the box office, and Free Guy was theaters exclusive. Jungle Cruise was not. Shockingly, Jungle Cruise is not in our top 5 this weekend. Let's look at the total worldwide box office. That is where F9 is number 2 at the overall worldwide box office with $716 million. Godzilla versus Kong is number 4 at 467. Black Widow's at 377. Shang-Chi at 320. Free Guy 298, A Quiet Place Part 2 269, Cruella 223. Those are all the movies that are from the United States that are in the top 10 box. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 movies this year have come from the United States at the worldwide box office. As we said, a couple things to think about Shang-Chi. People are saying, oh, it's a more successful movie than Black Widow. Because of a no Chinese release, we'll see if Shang-Chi can even pass Black Widow at the worldwide box office. While it will pass it domestically, more likely it will not pass it at the worldwide box office. We also have to think, because these movies are so tight in dollars at the box office, Black Widow does have the advantage of also being a Premier Access movie and also making more money off of that. They at least made $125 million off Premier Access opening weekend on Black Widow. So we don't know the clear and cut numbers officially of the entire run for Black Widow. It's still available for Premier Access. So that is this weekend here at the box office. This upcoming weekend, just one, I guess you can call it, big release at the movies. Dear Evan Hansen, the very famous Broadway play from 6 years ago, is now a movie, and Ben Platt is back starring in the movie. So this is a big Oscar push. The critics have really not liked this movie, but it is coming out this weekend. That's the only major release this weekend, because October, this is the last week of September. October will be probably the biggest month of movies, maybe I can't remember this many big time movies coming out in 1 month. Every single week, at least 2 or 3 big movies are coming out, and that starts with October 1st. We'll talk about that next week with Venom, as we already said. Venom Let There Be Carnage and The Many Saints of Newark and The Addams Family are all coming out on October 1st. Big time releases are coming out very, very soon, so stay tuned. I do this box office breakdown show every single week. You can find out if Shang-Chi passes Black Widow here on the channel. So please subscribe, ring the bell, like the video, comment down below. If you want to see my other movie reviews, that's on the playlist right there. If you want to see my other box office breakdown shows I've done, it's also on the top. My most recent video upload, and please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon.